sex cults. So the latest thing, is R.Kelly.
Oh,
and there's
God.
a debate. Where's my camera? Which one? That one.
This one. This one.
So there's a debate whether a sex cult, because if it's a sex cult, then they might be able to arrest them or something like that. But if it's a lifestyle choice, and they're all adult women, it's totally fine. So they have to prove that these women are kept against their will. The thing is, when does brainwashing come into the effect of being kept against your will? Because if brainwashing comes into effect, what about all those religious cults out there?
How about Catholicism?
Exactly.
No, yeah.
And I think the reason there's such a, well, no, it has to be a lifestyle choice in adult women, because if you do get into brainwashing being something that you can say that is kidnapping or being held against your will, then a whole bunch of religious cults will get busted.
Yeah.
And I think,
absolutely.
and I think that as long as it's towards women, they don't give a shit, you know?
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
What if it was the opposite way? What if it was a woman controlling a whole bunch of men? Adult men.
Yeah, I'd call her Mama.
Well, here's the thing. I saw a little bit of the R. Kelly thing. I saw like the parents that were pleading, saying, "Oh, please, she needs help." Then I saw the daughter. I mean, like, I'm here because I want to be here.
Right.
Well, she did a couple videos.
And you can see maybe
there was one video. One video was where she was like, "Look, leave me alone," and blah blah blah, and this and that. And then the parents, I think, sent the video saying that she was against the will, and then they showed her talking to a camera, and you could see like the shadow of somebody coaching her.
Yeah, or doing like this, like
really?
that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right.
But
and
again,
that one looked a little more
But
like robotic. No, I want to be here. I don't want.
Isn't a cult like when you brainwash people?
Right.
That's what I thought.
And when does brainwashing
turn
into against your will? Because with the Patty Hearst thing, it was about brainwashing. They sent her to prison and said we didn't believe it or something like that. But then she later got pardoned or taken out, and they said it was a miscarriage of justice towards her in the first place. But that was brought up too. When is it brainwashing? And when is it?
From what I understand with this young girl or this young woman with R. Kelly, is that she is there in the hopes that she will further her career.
Supposedly, yeah.
And so
she's a whore.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
And her
she's
parents,
doing what I said that you need to do when you're being sexually harassed but can't leave the job.
Yes.
You make it work for you.
But
and you
does
get
that
the
mean
most
letting
out
her
of
pee
it.
on you too?
And
Like,
the parents,
you make him pay for it. You make him give you that raise in writing
but
and all that
who
kind
is
of
she?
shit.
The most publicity she's gotten was when her parents stepped out.
Right.
But the thing is that her parents allowed her to go there in the first place because they thought, oh, this would be a good professional move for her, is to move there.
Okay, I didn't know the backstory.
Look at all those parents that allow their 14-year-old
from what
daughters,
I have
16-year-old
pieced
daughters to come to New York or Italy and do modeling with all these modeling agencies. And most of the time, these girls are simply going out to a bar and getting hit on by a bunch of, photographers and men that can help their business.
Or here's my 10-year-old kid, Michael Jackson. You can stay over
they just
for the
let
night.
them have it. So where's the line? And we as a society need to come up with where's the line. Where is brainwashing and when is it a cult?
Yeah, I wonder who. I mean, how do you do that?
Because they can say a lot of the same thing about a lot of sex trafficked women, is that, you get, say, kidnapped off the street, or you go willingly because you think he's going to be your boyfriend. He takes you home. He beats you into submission or whatever. You're doing tricks. 2 years later, when the cops finally arrest everybody and they arrest you, they say, hey, turn your pimp in and everything. And she's like, oh, no. She's totally gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's totally gone.
Right.
And a lot of times they were like, oh, okay, and they arrest her for prostitution. They're starting to change that law. But when in that process...
When is it defined a cult?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Versus a lifestyle.
Right.
Absolutely.
And a lot of cults...
A chosen lifestyle.
And a lot of cults
lifestyle.
deprive you of food and outside communication, and that adds into it. So maybe they're not beating you directly or raping you directly, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's happening.
Care of me. Yeah.
Right. So when does that switch over?
That's really interesting because I think if I was to be a judge on that would be very difficult to try. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because listen, I dabble in a couple lifestyles and they're all consensual. However,
exactly.
But see,
the slave
that's
master.
another thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like it has to be consensual, but
how do you prove consensual without coercion?
I mean, and see that gets very difficult because then you start getting into character evaluation.
Right.
So then you start looking at a person's character and you know what they've done in the past, and it's really hard.
It's difficult.
That's very
It's
difficult.
really, really difficult.
Yeah.
I would guess. Step one is start asking the really simple, like Judge Judy does, lead-up questions to where you go, all right, so how did you first meet him? You know, you got into a van with him, right?
Yeah.
You know,
He said he had puppies.
Right, exactly. You know, how often before you met him did you contact your mother and family?
No, my mom's a bitch. It's usually that's how it usually goes.
But sometimes, you know, and so you do those type of questions, and if they answer some of those typical brainwashing technique type of things, then I would say, all right, you were brainwashed. And I think maybe that's the only way that we could figure it out, as opposed to just seeing them 2 years later, or 10 years later, being involved in a cult and saying, don't you want to leave him? They're like, no.
I'm his sunshine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm his one and only sunshine. Because look at the Manson girls, all of them.
Oh, yeah.
But how much they were constantly taking LSD, so was that coercion?
Oh, come on. We know that there's drugs at R. Kelly's house.
Oh, God,
seriously, yeah.
There's
and the
definitely
good drugs.
And and just because you took it yourself doesn't necessarily mean that you wanted everything else that came afterwards.
Right.
Right.
You know, you thought that you were just going to take LSD with some friends, do a trip, and then go home the next day. But then there's another LSD tablet. There's another LSD tablet. And before you know, it's 2 years, and you know.
And you still don't have a record deal.
Yeah, and you still don't have a fucking record deal.
Exactly.
Seriously, she should have had that contract signed.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think of, you know, especially in the kink BDSM, like the fetish world, oftentimes people are kind of blown away with the roles that people play, and it can be a very fine line. It is a very fine line, you know. But there's a difference in play. And then there's a difference in trying to take total control over somebody.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Because you can even play that I'm taking total control over you.
Exactly.
But it's the dominant's responsibility to be like, okay, we got to chill out now.
Yeah, it's over.
Like right now, there's a time and place for everything. Because okay, so for instance, like we have lifestylers. And then
I was going to say, I know people who are lifestylers.
Because that was part of the argument.
We're lifestylers,
cult.
and then there's people who just play.
Right.
Whenever they want to play. So lifestyle is a little bit different because you live it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So like you live with your dominant and you serve your dominant daily.
Right.
Now, people can look at that and go, it's slavery.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, if
or
it's
brainwashing.
or brainwashing,
right.
But
if
it's actually consensual.
If it's consensual, then how do you determine what was consensual and what wasn't? That's the hard part. And depending on the judge you get will depend on. I mean, what if you get a super conservative judge that doesn't know anything about this, just completely vanilla, and be like, "Oh, you're a sick bastard. You're going to jail for 50 years."
Yeah, right.
Or you get a judge that's keeping kids in the basement, and he goes, "Oh, you guys ain't doing nothing. Free."
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
You never know what kind of judge